Also Kimmy. Approval of the agenda. Does anyone make a motion to approve the agenda for tonight?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. Anyone like to make a motion to approve the minutes for tonight?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second, anyone?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. New business, the AMPACT member update.
Thank you, Chair, members of the commission. Tonight we have with us our AMPAC member, who she reminded me tonight, Danny. And your last name, if you want to introduce yourself. Yep, just push the middle button.
There we go. Hi, my name is Danny Lemire.
Yeah, and she reminded me that she has been with us since last January, so it's already been a year. I didn't think it was that long. Time flies, but she's here to tell you about her journey of what led her to AMPACT and becoming part of that organization and what she's done with Maplewood. And you can tell the good, bad, and the ugly about being with us out at the Nature Center. And so with that, I'm just going to turn it over to you.
Thank you. So we'll get the slides up here.
Yep, and if we can have the computer. Perfect. You should be able to switch it that way. Otherwise, I can always switch them for you.
Okay. So my unanticipated journey this last year, I was a CNA for about 6 years, and after COVID, like the excuse everyone uses, I needed a transition, so I did a lot of research online, and I came across AmeriCorps, and they have a lot of great programs like reading and math, and personally, I was interested in forestry and getting outside and learning more about the environment we live in. The past year has all been learning personal growth as well as learning how to reach out and collaborate with community members and educate them about what I'm working on. So we have the first one. We've done a lot of ash removals the past year in Maplewood. And I'm not part of inventorying the ash, but there was this call at Timber Park, and they were in bad shape, but I found this little squirrel peeking his head out of one of them, and it was just a reminder that even though we do have all these dead and dying trees, there's still life that's happening right in front of our eyes. These are great habitat trees. And in anticipation of all these ash removals, I've been helping collaborate with Carol on our tree sale for 2024. And we're offering online ordering starts March 4th, $40 a tree. Some options include hackberry, swamp white oak, redbud, and Kentucky coffee tree. And they're all climate adaptive trees. They've been studied by U of M and DNR, and we're hoping that these trees will be the best adapted to our climate, and we're excited to be offering these trees.
And just to add that, Carol Gurnis, our Natural Resources Coordinator. Danny works very closely, and Carol is like her lead on all things trees and buckthorn. And okay, I'll turn it over to you.
Yes, thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, Carol and I collaborate all the time on these things. From the tree sale in 2023, we had a couple of leftover trees. So one of my jobs was finding places to plant these, and I came up with Edgerton baseball fields. There was a lot of ash trees removed. There's no trees in that area at all. And growing up as a kid, I remember loving to sit underneath the shade of a tree and get that rest and relaxation from the sunlight. And so I reached out to the school nearby Edgerton Park, and one of the teachers was happy to collaborate with me and get the kids outside to plant the trees. And they named the trees Johnny and Little Timmy, and I thought that was adorable. But they had a lot of fun, and it brought me a lot of joy as well. And it just made me realize how important it is to offer experiences for children and community members to help them feel more connected to their surroundings. And these were Dutch elm disease-resistant trees. So the U of M has been doing a lot of research on elm trees and how we can get them back out into the urban areas after the tragedy in the 70s. And we lost all of our elms. I just really love these pictures. They make me happy. A lot of what I've been doing is tree care. That's the main part of my job, is learning how to properly care for young trees. With AmeriCorps, we're not allowed to use ladders or the truck, which makes it really difficult to get out and water the trees. I've been using my personal vehicle and filling up jugs and just carrying them around. But yeah, trees in an urban environment are more susceptible to disease due to the harsh environment. There's a lot of compaction of the soils. The soils aren't generally very healthy. But yeah, it's super vital to learn how to properly care for these trees, especially after all the ash trees are gone. There's going to need to be a lot of management for these young trees. The most important years of life for these are between 3 to 5 years. So the first 3 to 5 years, like, you have to get out every week and water them. Got to make sure they have mulch. And the first tree I have pictured here is an oak tree at Lions Park, which is in South Maplewood. Just for how it was planted, they left the bamboo stake in, which made it lean over. So I went out there and I staked it up nice, and hopefully it'll grow nice and tall and straight. One of our jobs will be getting out there to prune the trees. Urban trees, they have very odd branching, and trees in the forest, they don't have quite as many branches. So it's important to train the trees so they don't have weak limbs later on. And it's really important to figure out who's going to maintain these long term, because my end of term is in July, and I worry about these trees. I would hate for them to die. It would make me very sad to drive around and see all this hard work for naught.
Danny, with some of these, because it says the boulevard trees, people, residents can opt if they want a boulevard tree replacement. And even though the residents are supposed to water them and help care for them, part of your job has been to go inspect them just to see if they were planted correctly when we have the contractors come in, and then just check on the health as an extra bonus, because we're really invested in wanting these trees to survive. So that's kind of, not only are the homeowners doing it, but someone like Danny having that extra person there to double check and fix some things has been a huge benefit to the city. So.
Yeah, and I do have a little bit more about tree inspections, which is,
Okay.
yeah, there's been about 200 boulevard trees planted for homeowners through grants. And yeah, what I do a lot of the time is check for the planting depth, because if they're planted too deep, they will develop roots that grow up through the mulch and grow around the tree trunk, and eventually the roots grow so big that it suffocates the tree. I also go around looking at tree guards, so they need to be placed in the fall. Otherwise, you can see from this first picture on the left, they have the tree bark rubbing from deer. Rabbits could do it too if the tree is young enough. The second picture is someone had pruned their own tree, and they had chopped off the main dominant leader, which produces a lot of extra branching. And some people find that, like, they think it looks aesthetic and nice, but it's not necessarily the most healthy way to take care of a tree. So I just wish people wouldn't prune their own trees, but they do. And sometimes the wrong type of tree gets planted. So we have a tag that says pin oak on it, and that's one of the red oaks that's susceptible to oak wilt, and we generally don't recommend planting them because we have oak wilt all around Maplewood. So swamp white oak is it has more resistance to getting the disease. And then lastly, there's a picture of one of those green ties left on a tree, and you really don't want to leave anything wrapped around a tree too long, because the tree starts engulfing it. The item could even kill the tree by suffocation. The struggles is, how do we ensure that the trees are getting proper care? Like, we give out information when the trees are planted, but it's really up to the homeowners to take care of these boulevard trees. In the future, I think it'd be a good thing to have someone specifically dedicated to tree care, especially young trees. But there are some successes I've seen where there's communities, they come together and they love their trees, and it's something to do with their cultural values. So getting people connected to nature as well as their cultural values is something important to look at ongoing. It's like, how can we do better with that? This is one of my favorite things to do, is looking out for invasive or aggressive plants. This is called black locust, or Robinia pseudoacacia, and this was an infestation in Maplewood Heights Park, which is, I reported it on EdMaps, which is a website where you can input information and then send it out, and they'll mark where you are on a map for that city manager, and then they can look at the pictures and just confirm that that's what it is. So black locust, it colonizes quickly and readily in open areas. It has really sharp thorns, and it's alternately arranged on the branch, and it has singly compound leaves. And this is something I learned through my education the past year. It's a lot of tree ID and shrub ID, and I love it. So I worked with Carol as well as our communications directors, I don't know how to, department. And I did a lot of my own research on these topics. And I came up with a lot of pictures and provided it to communications, and they helped me organize it in a nice visual representation. And I offered these to the community library to present to people. I read that they get about 200,000 visitors a year, which is substantially greater than we get at the Nature Center. And then these were also displayed at our community events, Arbor Day 2023 and 4th of July. So we have buckthorn, emerald ash borer, and oak wilts. Buckthorn is a specific interest of mine. We'll get more to that on later.
And the QR codes on there, they just go to additional information so people can just scan it and get more in-depth information.
So they're really useful. And this winter, I worked on a few worksheets that are available at the Nature Center. So just a few different leaves you might find laying out on the path, as well as winter twig IDs, which is what I learned last January when I started. There's no leaves to go by. So you look at the buds on the branches and how they're arranged and the coloration and the shape. And I think it's a fun thing to practice. If you're interested, come on over to the Maplewood Nature Center. We would love to have you, and come on by. Next, we have community outreach. These are some photos I took at Arbor Day, and I didn't get any at the 4th of July event, which is something I should do
really
next
busy.
year. Yeah, my station was very busy because of the tree wheel. What did I call it? The wheel of tree ID, which it had a bunch of leaves on it, and you can spin the wheel, and then if you could tell me what that leaf was or an identifying feature, then you'd win a prize. And I made some buckthorn coasters from trees that I had found in my backyard just for fun.
Which my son stole as soon as I got him home.
That's amazing. I'll have to make some more. I really enjoyed doing that, and people, they loved the buckthorn coasters and being able to see like the wood grain. And Arbor Day wasn't super eventful, but 4th of July had a lot more traffic, so I think that'd be another great event for me to be at this year. lastly, this was last Friday, I hosted a buckthorn pop-up program. So I had a short presentation on how to identify buckthorn, how to treat it, and then we went to walk outside and collect some buckthorn sticks to decorate them. And I have some examples sitting here.
Like walking stick.
Yeah, so we all made walking sticks, and Audra had the amazing idea to do a bonfire, so she helped man the fire for a while, and everyone really enjoyed their time, and I enjoyed my time a lot as well. We offered hot cocoa and tea and smokers, as you can see in this picture here. I think. And I'll be hosting a few more. So we have January 26th and February 9th. Both of these are Fridays from 10 a.m. to noon. If you'd like to know more about buckthorn, come and join me. It'll be a fun time. Even though it's a little cold out, just, half an hour outside. It feels good. There's lots of birds and squirrels and things to look at. I think that's about it for me. If I have any questions, I'd love to answer them.
I have a question. So I was wondering with the community, when we have like boulevard trees planted, is like anyone besides the person that its land is technically planted on notified? Like, is there any kind of like, oh, a baby tree has arrived in your community, and like a little training for like how, like for that, like just the neighbors or something?
That would be a good program to have. I don't believe anyone's notified like that.
Okay.
I think the people who get the they opt for the boulevard tree, or that they were getting one, then they get mailed some literature just on like how to care for your tree, like a little pre-made card, but not necessarily for everybody in the neighborhood. But
Okay.
yeah,
I was just curious if
Yeah.
it was like, I think part of it is like, maybe like some people might not, well, I don't know like how easily it is for people outside of the group that gets mailed the item, like how easy it is for the other people to find like training on how to take care of the tree, or if they are like empowered to be a part of taking care of the tree. So I just was
I feel like
wondering.
that'd be a great video for Danny to make with communications.
I think so.
How to
too.
care for your tree. And just to build on what she said, and I'll go back to your questions, but again, with the amount of ash trees that we have to remove just this fall, we were able to now we're removing ash trees year-round just to try to keep up. And in parks, we removed just from September until now, we removed 61 trees just in parks. The parks crew just did that. There were 147 boulevard trees removed since September. So the amount of trees that we're now removing is just incredible. And so the more trees, and we will be replanting trees in the parks. So, we're hoping, if whether it's community planting or whatever, doing education on how to do it, I think that's a great idea. Just to get everybody invested in helping us care for the trees, because just watering alone, you remember the summer we just had, it was so much for the gardeners, just watering and trying to keep up on the trees we're trying to replant when we remove all these. So it's quite a feat. We can do it, but we definitely need community engagement, so. Okay, Danny, sorry, turn it back over to you.
No.
Well, it sounds like Edgerton, the kids got involved. I wonder how many of the parks, if we could get like Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, or National Honor Society, different groups to actually volunteer to do that.
Absolutely. And that's a huge thing I've been working on is engagement with, I go to Metro State University, so I've been working on sending out posters and flyers, and their environmental club isn't super established yet, but I'm hoping to work on that with my lab partner this spring. But I'm very limited in my time, so I have until July to work on these projects, which is unfortunate, but
So what do you do after July? Do you?
that's a good question. It's a mystery. I know. So we'll find out. I
We'd
might,
love to keep her.
I was going to say,
Right.
can't we keep you?
I don't know. I think I can serve 2 more terms. I'm not sure if I'll decide to stick around for another one here or what'll happen, but I'm excited to
Well,
see.
we'd like to have you.
Oh, thank you, Terry. Right?
I don't have a question, but I will say thank you. It was a good presentation. Obviously, you're very passionate about this work, and I think that the city is lucky to have had that passion to be able to take advantage of. So thank you for the work that you've done.
Thank you for those kind words.
Yeah, I don't have a question either, but thanks for sharing your journey. It was really interesting to see.
Thank you very much for what you do.
Thank you.
Thanks, Danny. And
The 2024 Parks and Recreation Commission goal setting.
yes. And let's see. Let's see. Actually, that'll be, see if I can get it a little bit bigger, but it would be a good segue into goal setting, because here we are, it's already January of 2023, and just for a refresher, I put our goals from last year in there, so I want to read through them just to kind of refresh, and then we can talk about what was good, what maybe we wish we had gotten to, and then maybe just this conversation is some, I don't know, add some fuel to setting goals, maybe for some of that community outreach. It could be involving with getting trees in parks, whatever. So this is what we usually do, is we start in January and have the conversation, and not everybody can make the first meeting. But we can still get a good idea. I can take notes on what you think and what you're feeling, and then the February meeting, we review it. I take your notes, I print them up, give them to you, and then by the end of the February meeting, we'd like to have them firmed up. If it takes till March, that's okay too. But and then we will have our goals set for 2024. So in 2023, our goals were review the Parks and Recreation System Master Plan, stay on top of park improvement plans, continue to look for new ways to engage in community outreach and be involved in the community events. And that was great, having you at the Touch a Truck and some of the other events coming. I know Commissioner DeMoe, came to the volunteer event and some other things, so it was great. I mean, when you get involved, it adds, adds to the event, and it's really appreciated, I think, and I hope you find it valuable. We take the bus tour of our park system. We did. We never have enough time for all the things we want to do, but we were able to do that. 4 was the whole meeting dedicated to review the implementation of the Nature Center and Programming Task Force recommendations and receive regular updates as well. Hold a meeting to discuss connectivity and trails within neighboring cities in Ramsey County. Value the youth perspective and appoint a student PRC member. Review annual updates from the MCC-YMCA, as well as updates from the community groups and partners looking for ways to work together. And then review and evaluate the current signage in our parks and open spaces. So I'll turn it over to the commissioners on what you thought, our goal is last year, what was good, what we could have done. One thing I will say is it didn't make it into 2023, but I am still trying to get schedules to align for that connectivity meeting with Ramsey County, but it might not be until March. It could be our February meeting, but it'll probably be March. So that one, just with the meetings where we did events and with the bus tour and then being out of it, it didn't work with schedules, but it's still on track to happen. So with that, I'll turn it over to the group, and we can just, kind of up to you, we can go through each one of them and say, do we want to keep it, or do we just want to have some discussion and go from there? I'll kind of let you lead the conversation, and I will take good notes.
It's only 8. I think we could probably bust through all of these and have a discussion on each.
Sure. So we can start with 1, with reviewing the park systems master plan and staying on top of park improvements. That was a reworded goal from 2022. It was more specific about wanting to, it was a recommendation from some people. They really wanted to review the master plan, the key points of it as it was. We didn't have time to get through every point of the master plan, but that's something that can continue if the group wishes, and we just keep going if you felt it was valuable. And then staying on top of park improvement plans, like looking at where the shelters might be and the playground replacements and that kind of thing. So thoughts on 1?
I think it was very helpful, especially for me being somewhat new to parks, It was nice to be able to go through it. I think we should continue to work through it until we get all the way to the end. I realize it might take some time, but I think it's a worthwhile effort that we should just periodically keep up on.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was wondering if you could remind me, every 10 years we review, or not review, but a new master plan is made, correct? Or
That's
what's the
kind of an
cadence?
ideal.
Okay.
It had been quite a while until we did the one that we did back in 2016. It was approved in
15?
15.
Okay.
It had been much longer than that. I mean, but it's quite an undertaking, so just getting the process and the consultant and that. But yes, a good rule of thumb is 10 to 12 years. For sure.
Okay.
But, yep.
I was just
It's
curi-
not as firm as like the comprehensive plan.
I was just curious in case there was like about to be activities for a new one, and we should switch gears and try to kind of lean into that
Yeah.
versus review the past one. But
I would say
if-
it won't be this year, so this
Okay.
might be, again, if you want to continue reviewing it, it'd be good to get the review
Yeah.
done now, because that will be coming up in the
Okay.
not-so-distant future.
Is it still pretty relevant, Audra, though, even though it's from 2015?
A lot of it is, yeah. Because we tried our best in that process to be as, encompassing and future thinking as we could. I mean, I think some things that might be changing would be what people consider important, just with, some of the amenities would move around a little bit on the list. Pickleball would definitely be added where it wasn't then, but overall, the same needs, and with the community center, the changes with what they've done and what they've done with recreation programming, that can look different because we're not doing as much in-house, but people are still using athletic fields and there's still things happening. It's just how we're delivering them has been different, but it is still, I think the document's held up pretty well, but that would be for discussion for.
I was wondering if maybe, I think this item should still stay in for doing the review, but maybe we should make a note of like an output of each meeting if this is what we would want to do on the next iteration of the plan, or if we would want to kind of switch gears, or if there is any kind of feedback for the next one, since it might happen in
Sure.
the not too far future.
Would you want that worded differently in the goal, though, or just make a conscious effort as a commission to do that? Do you want that incorporated in the wording of the goal?
I would be fine with incorporating it, but does anyone else on the commission have a feeling one way or another? Because I'm fine with adding a little bit of like maybe like a bullet point or something of try to create outputs from these specific meetings for the future master plan. I don't know.
We could say something like, be forward-thinking in regard to future master plan.
Can you say that one more time?
Yeah, I like that.
Be forward-thinking in regard to upcoming master plan.
Yep. Great idea.
Be forward-thinking.
That sounds good.
Yep, go ahead. Thanks, Danny. Be forward-thinking in regards to future master plan. Future planning. Yeah, if you want to take them, go ahead. All right. Any more thoughts about number 1? Okay. Then go on to 2. Continue to look for new ways to engage in community outreach and be involved in community events. Again, I think.
We got to keep that on.
Yeah, let's keep that one.
Let's keep that
I
one.
definitely say keep it, because when you're at a community event and someone says something along the lines of, why are you here? You say, I'm a Parks Board member, immediately sparks conversation. So that's definitely a worthwhile.
Yeah, I wonder too, though, if we could maybe think about which events, or like, if we had like a list or something, we could maybe pinpoint some that we thought would be more important or something. I don't know.
Sure.
Maybe we can even, if we knew ahead of time that several of us would be there, we could maybe even advertise. Parks Board members will be there if you have questions, or
Sure.
something like that.
Yeah. And, you know, it could be, again, it could be community events, just the little conversation we had with Danny was, you know, if it's you know, if park commissioners want to be there for, you know, a tree planting day, like if we ask for volunteers from the community and make it an event, is that something you would be interested in leading? Or, you know, I don't want to put things on you, but that's something, if you wanted to be involved, it could be, you know, maybe not just coming from us, but saying, you know, the Parks and Recreation Commission needs you, and we want to keep our parks and reinvest in our forest canopy and come help plant a tree or something like, I mean, it's really kind of up to the group. But that can all just be implied if I think this is a nice overreaching goal, just looking for new ways to engage in community outreach, and that kind of covers everything. If you want to be more specific, we can, or we can just leave it this way, but that's good notes for me to just, maybe even for the February meeting, bring the list of events we have the dates for, and just give them all to you, and then see if you're interested, even if there are some that maybe public safety's leading, like trunk or treat, that we are part of with them. If you're interested, it doesn't have to just be a parks event.
Yeah, maybe we could even attribute a number to it. Like last year we did 2, so this year let's do 3 or something, you know.
Sure, it's a measurable goal. I'll put down notes on that. We can discuss that. Hopefully, maybe some people who weren't here tonight can be there next week, but it'll be I'll put in the draft in the packet for February, and then people can take a look. Let's see.
Do you know how many we did last year, Audra? Was it just 1?
No, I was at the volunteer event,
Yep,
and then we had a table at the,
Touch a truck.
yep.
yep. And you could,
July, Arbor Day.
were you at Arbor Day?
I did Arbor Day.
Yep.
That's where I met Danny.
Okay, that's right, yep. And then it could be the other 2 celebrate. I mean, it was such a weird summer where we had to postpone the touch truck until September. And then the last Celebrate Summer event was canceled because of the heat. That was crazy. It was the air quality for June, and then it was so hot that we couldn't do the August event. Yeah. Well, we can always get involved with the society but they've really kind of taken on doing their own events. Yeah. But I'm sure, I know TJ Molesky, he's put out notices for looking for volunteers to help with some things, so it'd be a great way to reach the community, so I can always get dates from him and then see if there's some things. I'm trying to think their last big one. It was their yeah, they don't want to do the movies in the park there anymore, but it would just be, yeah, we could potentially do that. It was just nice there with the indoor space in case it rained, and how the screen, when we did them at Wakefield, sometimes we can't have wind of more than 15 miles an hour, and it was a little bit tricky. It was much more stable when it was at the farm, and we don't have an amphitheater to kind of stabilize the screen, so that was always the tricky thing, but we could, yeah. Yeah, if you guys want to come to the egg hunt and be part of that at Edgerton, that'd be great. So there's no limit. We'd love to have you at whatever you're interested in, but if you want to maybe set a goal of like three community events, or yeah. I'll kind of put question marks down, and we can revisit that one at the next meeting. Okay, 3, take a bus tour. I think from the feedback we got, we want to do that again. Yeah.
I know I missed it, so we should keep it on there. So
Okay.
this year.
It's fun.
All right,
We get to see our accomplishments.
it was really nice to take one again after so long not.
It would be nice if we could, like, maybe work it out to be a Saturday where we could go longer, because I think it was on a weekday this year, and we kind of had to cut it short because darkness and whatever else.
Yeah.
And it just felt like there was a lot of parks we didn't get to. Or maybe we could do over 3 years and get to every park eventually, you know?
Right, and that's kind of like you pick highlights because you know you can't get to everything. And another we could do, it's nice to stop and socialize. I like being able to stop at Wakefield, but if we did the eat on the bus thing, we probably could get to more things. We've done that before where everyone's just like eat and go, but the socializing is a nice part to talk about things that we've seen too. Yeah. Well, we could break with tradition. We don't, it was always toward the end of the year, just because whatever we were working on was closer to being, I don't know why it was always in September or whatever, but we could do it, right in the middle of summer, because then the days are longer. It's just, we run out of daylight, but it always was kind of August, September, October, but
That's a good idea,
We-
more sunlight, more chances to get to work, yeah.
yeah, we could do it in July, and then it's a lot later, so then we don't have to cut the time. Well, I'll put that down. Bus tour, July, question mark. All right. All right. Number 4 is hold a meeting dedicated to review the implementation of the Nature Center and Programming Task Force recommendations and receive regular updates as well. I think we did that, and Neil was happy to come and give you updates as we went. How did you feel it went? Did you want more updates? Did it feel like about the right amount, or?
It would be nice if we could find a way to have that one meeting at the nature center. I realize that filming doesn't work, but it would be nice to have it on site, I think.
Yeah, I think it's for the recording purposes, it's a little tricky with the meeting, like the bus tour, they can't
Yeah.
record it. But it doesn't mean that we can't work the bus tour into, we did the Wakefield building, we could do the meal out at the nature center.
Oh,
We
that's
could,
a really good
we could stop at the nature center, then you could spend some time out
Yeah.
there. And So let me put that,
We've done that in the past.
yeah,
Yeah, I still like to get these updates too, and it's always interesting when Neil comes. He always has so much information.
okay. All right. 5, hold a meeting to discuss connectivity and trails with neighboring cities in Ramsey County. And like I said, it's probably going to be March before that comes together, but it is definitely still happening. So I think it would be fair to keep it as a goal, as ongoing, and then we can have that.
Yeah, I think we
Okay.
should.
Yeah, let's just keep it.
Okay. And 6, value the youth perspective, recruit, appoint a student PRC member. I'll have an update for you on where we're at with that after this, but after all the hard work that you put into it, I'm going to assume that you want to keep that going and right.
Yeah.
I'll tell you at the update, yeah.
I was gonna say, because I've heard
Keep it
people
going,
have
let's
sent
get it
them in,
started.
but I didn't know if you got them or not.
So if people send them in, we'll talk about that in the next little bit, but yes, we will keep that.
Yeah, maybe we just need to update the language to say, because we would have already recruited, or we're going to
Yeah.
be, hopefully have one. But
Right. Yeah, that's true. Because we'll still be in the process of appointing
Yeah.
people, as we go into the new year, so,
Continue to work with the student PRC program or something along those lines.
yeah, because we're still going to be recruiting and appointing in 2024.
Yeah.
So I think you could leave it
Yeah.
and,
Yeah, I think we could.
okay, yeah, that makes
Okay.
sense then.
yeah. All right. And this one, receive annual updates, number 7, from the MCC YMCA, as well as updates from other community groups and partners to look for ways to work together. It was nice to have groups come in and, just share with you what they do and what they're working on. I actually, Neil and I met yesterday with the new executive branch director of Y, Alex Schmitz. So he is the new one in place, and so I know you've heard this from me before, but the plan is to have him come and give an update, but he is fairly new to the Y, so it was a really positive meeting, and I think he'll be happy to come and give an update, but it'll probably be, I would say, April would be my guess, because they're still figuring out the transition, because Tara had been working, she's moved on, and now Alex is here, and so look forward to that update. And I think it seemed like it'd been important to the rest of the group too that those happened. So the MCC YMCA one, looking at April to have them come in. But how did you feel about the other updates from community groups that came in and talked to the commission over the last year?
Know what's still going on to spread the word for people who are looking
And did you find it valuable to have like, Ramsey County didn't need to, but having them come in and talk about the Tulu courts and things like that? Is that something that's interesting? So you feel like you're part of it? So whenever I
Yeah, really
have a
like
chance,
that.
or like Danny, kind of just want to have them come talk to you, so you know stuff that you might not know is happening, so. Okay. And then number 8, review and evaluate the current signage in our parks and open spaces. And that is one we didn't get to, so. Thoughts on that? Keep it, I say. Yep. It was going to happen anyway, just, that was one we didn't get to. But overall, got to most of your goals, so.
I don't remember that number 8 one though. Were we going to do that ourselves?
I'm trying to remember what the intention with that
Well,
one
the way
was.
the way I understood, the way and I'm thinking, and if I'm wrong, it's this a good time to talk about it. Was we want to review our signage, like we were going to take inventory of what we have and the repainted signs and the new park rules and see, and then have a meeting where we come and to share what's all out in the field. And I'll just tell you, we didn't get to thoroughly get all of it pulled together yet. So it's definitely on the list. And then I think you were just gonna have discussion of maybe what we want to look at, but we wanted to get the inventory of all of our signage first, is the way I understood it. But if that's wrong, I want you to tell me. So
I think we wanted to know what's out there, review it, and then go from there. And I think we even talked a little bit about the QR
Yeah,
codes on the sign.
I remember
Yep.
talking about QR codes a little bit.
and we have signage, not permanent signage, but things that we've been doing in the since we've been trying to put the QR codes on as many things as we can. So it's not permanent signage that's stuck in the ground, but we have been changing our signage, and we are looking at. I did want to wait till we were a little further along with the kiosks, but we have an opportunity to work with the watershed to change at the nature center. For those of you who've been there, we have the old kiosk that's there that's kind of outdated, and it needs a refresh, and it doesn't really have a lot of interpretive information that's maybe as valuable. And so we're looking at them, partnering with them to change that, and we're currently meeting to talk about maybe what we'd want on the sign. So what I was thinking is having probably Paige and maybe someone else from the watershed, once we have another meeting, come and talk to you and see what we're thinking of and what things we think are important to call out at the nature. So even something like, how long are the trails? And if you take this one versus that one, we have the outside trail is 7/8 of a mile, very specific, but that's, people want to know, well, how long is this? And what are the species here? And what is the purple flower that looks so pretty in the pond, but it's actually invasive? It's purple loosestrife. And so just trying to educate people. So that would be one place we'd be looking for some signage information to, and putting some QR codes where something we don't have to update all the time. And so just so you know, on my end, that's what we're trying to pull together. And that'd be, I think, a great guest to come to talk to you as someone from the watershed, because they have a lot of interesting information about water quality and stormwater and how we treat things and the projects they do in our parks to make them better. So
I think if we keep number 8, we should, I don't know, like, how are we ever going to get that done without a plan? Like, maybe we need to add more details to it or something. I don't know.
So it sounds like it was just an item that didn't get gotten to.
Yeah.
But it's something that we could maybe try to do, before June, potentially? Or
Sure.
what do you think? Like, because this would be an item where you and Neil would have to go and take pictures and stuff, or would it be?
and park maintenance. too.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. I think originally when we were looking at
Yeah, this was something that you wanted to look, but it was like staff
Yeah.
time that they just got pushed down to
I think it was
on our list.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I think it was potentially tied to the bus park tour, like, oh, we could go and see the signs as well. But if we want to separate those out, that's totally fine with
Yeah.
me. It's just, I think last time when we did the bus tour, there was so much, so there
Right.
wasn't really time to go specifically
And-
search out the signage.
Right, and I don't know that it has to be like all the signage all at once, but
Yeah.
just like if we're contemplating making changes, to bring it to you. So like the Nature Center, if we've got grant, they have matching funds to help us with it, that might be a first place to to start with our signage and then bring it here and then, yeah, just kind of break it up into pieces because there's a lot of different signage and.
Okay, so it wasn't us as commissioner members going out to do this.
No,
Got it.
so it's your goal to evaluate it and be part of the signage process, but it was something staff would have to get to, and we just,
Yeah, I
We
would
just
assume
didn't have
that
the time.
staff would go out, take pictures, evaluate
Yep.
signage, come back, give a presentation to the
yeah,
board.
and get your feedback.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so
Oh, I
the
see.
first
That'll work.
chance we'd have is, we had the meetings in 2023, but we weren't at a point where we had something to bring to you yet about the nature center signage, and that project is, and it's, I don't know if you've seen the kiosk, but it's pretty substantial, and it would be like permanently changing the information outside, and it's even more important now because without naturalists on site, and limited, that signage, we really want it to be as informational and educational as possible, so stay tuned, that's coming down the pike, but it didn't get to you in 2023, so I think it'd be a very relevant goal to keep.
Okay. Is it something where we want to keep the verbiage as is, but then we have a second sentence that says, like, for all future signage, that will be something
Sure.
reviewed or by the commission, or what do you think?
So review and evaluate the current signage and how about saying review and evaluate current and future signage? I'm just trying to keep it succinct.
Let's do that.
Good, yep.
Because that way you have input and say into what is going on the signs. Okay, and then are there any goals other than those 8 that you've thought of that you maybe want to see as a goal? Otherwise, I mean, these are good measurable goals and.
We didn't get through all of them last year. I don't think we should add too many more.
Well, then I will make those tweaks and then bring them back to the February meeting, and then we will see if our other commissioners that aren't here have some thoughts and things to add, and hopefully we can pull together a list. Well, thank you. Thank you for that.
Unfinished business, the student PRC master update.
Okay. And I was very interested to hear that you said that people have filled them out, because I was, it's a new thing, and we're tweaking the system. Like, I had the fillable form that I did include in your packet, and that people could just email directly to me. I have not gotten any directly emailed to me. So, but also, the communications department did create that, we did the push on social media, and you could click there, and it would take you to, well, first I'll pull up the form for people at home so they know what we're talking about. And so this was the application, and it's just a picture of it now, but it was a fillable form, and then it did say to email it back to me or mail it. I have not gotten any this way, but we also did the initial push and communications. They had a connections at the high school that they emailed it and said, please, just distribute it. But this is what came up. This is what it goes to the website. So this link was here on there. We've saved you a seat, and then you could go to this link, and this is the web page that it takes you to, and then you can apply at the bottom here. And that didn't come directly to me, and we've gotten one that showed up there. So we're just making sure, and Neil did a test one just to be sure, just to make sure the link is working, but we do have one currently. But if you know of someone that has applied and I haven't received it, we're gonna push it out again, but we're just making sure it works. But we do have one so far, and he's a junior at North High. And so what I was hoping is we have a few more, so I just want to make sure that.
The one that I know, because he sent you an email, and he said he applied at school, also that I tried 2 different ways.
Yeah, and I did not. I just have one, and unless their name is Nishal, that's the only one. So I'm double checking with communications, like, is there a glitch or something? So we're gonna test it out more, but we're gonna relaunch again. So the good news is we have one, they live in Maplewood, they're a junior at North, and their why they applied was they wanted to know what goes on behind the scenes with the parks where the kids are, and they just want a better understanding about the communities. That's what they wrote. I was hoping to have more than one before we set up interviews, so what we're gonna do is try to relaunch again and make sure there's no glitches, because I'd hate to have people apply and they're not getting. And then, hopefully, you know, we would wanted to interview them, so to interview them, then we have to wait, you know, for the month, but I'm hoping by the February meeting that we would maybe interview this one, if that's all we have, but if we get others, we could do the interviews, you know, first thing at the February meeting. So that's where we're at. Like I said, the good news is we have one, but if someone has, and that's, because I know some of you had people that you knew wanted to apply, I have not received it, so.
Audra, what do you mean when you say relaunch? Will that just be another like social media
Just push it and make sure, and we're gonna test a little more with the online application, but I have not received emails, so that's, because I always look, I'm like, no one's emailed me.
Will that be the final relaunch? Or are we gonna?
Well, we'll
relaunch
keep-
for a year
we'll-
and not have anyone till 25?
No, I mean, in February, if we have one to interview, then we interview the one.
Good.
But if we have hopefully some more for the February meeting, then we'll have more than one. But yes, we'll definitely have the one who's applied, I'll be reaching out to him and saying, come to our February meeting.
Could we consider how we communicate it, maybe? Like, could we change some? Because I just noticed that last one that you pulled up, Audra, like, the list of requirements look really long compared to, like, the list of benefits. So
Well,
just things
yeah,
like that, I don't know if that would help.
This was what when we created this was the list that everyone agreed to. You know what I mean? When we had the discussion.
Yeah, just because we didn't get as many applications, maybe you could tweak
Yeah.
some things.
Well, I'm wondering if someone tried twice to send it to me and I didn't receive it, that makes me think there might be an issue, so.
Okay.
On our end, we're gonna do what we can to see if there was, because I hate that if people applied and then they're out in a black hole, and if can't get the online, you know, the webpage one, then we'll just put the direct link to my email and just say, send it to me, but maybe we can make it a little more fun. This is just kind of all the details on the page, like, we've saved you a seat, it was kind of a fun blurb on social media, but this gave a little more of the details to it, and like the application doesn't have this much in it, but yeah. We don't have to list all the requirements, we can just leave that out so it doesn't seem intimidating, just make a difference in your community, and then when they apply, we can kind of go
Yeah,
over what
maybe
it would
something
be.
like that.
Yeah.
It's just, that's like the first thing I noticed when I looked at this.
Sure.
I was like, it seems like there's a lot
We
of
kind of put it out there
requirements,
just to
yeah.
save the questions, because then people,
Yeah.
well, what does it entail? You know, then it's a lot of back and forth for staff, because these are the requirements, but
It makes me nervous not to say that, because I feel like it is a little daunting to see that list, but I feel like they need to know what they're getting into before they,
right. Otherwise,
do
then
it.
it's probably a lot of back and forth questions, but
right?
But it'll be on it's on the application too, right?
yeah,
It's just that, like, sometimes when I see a long list of requirements, I'm like, oh, I probably don't qualify.
sure.
So-
Maybe we can look at a way to try to make it a little more fun. I did laugh because when they made and that's actually one of our plans for one of our parks. Communications did a great job, but the initial accessories that were on the pre-made thing was a pair of readers and a cup of coffee. And so they changed it to a water bottle and a smartphone, to make it a little more youth-friendly. But, yeah. So, again, like I said, the good news is we have someone that I'll be reaching out to, but I'm hoping we'll have at least a couple or more to talk to in February, so. Sure. Yeah. Yeah, just a couple of updates for you. I think I might have mentioned at the last meeting, maybe not, but we have another 4-H program that's coming up at the Nature Center, and it is the healthy cooking class. This one should be fun. It's on a day when they don't have school, so February 2nd from 9 to noon at the Nature Center. And you get to make good food that you get to eat. You can do some fun activities, and maybe if there's snow, they can do a little snowshoeing too. So let's hope. It's just, that's why Danny's buckthorn walks have been nice, because there hasn't been enough snow to do pop-up snowshoe events, but, and it was fun, because she said, I love building the fire, so I'm like, let me have it. It was-
I love it that they're syncing it up with out-of-school days.
Yep.
I think that's really nice, because that day it's only elementary that's out, and that program's for elementary, so I really like that they're really in sync with that.
Yeah, and then we have the winter nature photo contest again. Now, it's the time to take your photos throughout the month of January, and you can submit them like we did for the summer one. And did any of you get to watch the video they made of the summer contest winner? It was really interesting. That guy was really an interesting man, and it was pretty fun. So. So throughout January, visit any of our parks, preserves, open spaces, capture an amazing shot, and submit it for a cool prize. And there's 2 categories, so you can be 12 and under, and then 13 and older. So, and the Friends of Maplewood Nature is donating the prizes. So hopefully we'll get some great submissions. And then I don't know if some of you have seen this. I know Jason, you did, because. It was at the volunteer open house, but this is, again, like with our signage that we're doing, we're always trying to have a QR code, and we probably don't have to scan it, but we're just trying to make it commonplace and as easy as possible. Like if you're interested in volunteer opportunities with the Nature Center, like we've got it really organized now. We have a small group of dedicated volunteers that come every week, which has been wonderful. But there's actually, at the Nature Center, there's a whole big board of different opportunities and when and what it would take. And there's like a sign-in sheet. If you're interested in that, you can just grab a board. Like anyone could just come in and say, today I want to do this, and just grab the board and get a to-do list and whatever equipment they would need, and they can just go and volunteer. And it's been really nice. So if anyone is interested, you can check out our volunteer website. There is an application, and the areas are community events, anything natural resources, the Nature Center if you want to help at the community gardens, and Friends of Maplewood Nature do some other things. We have a gentleman that he's now the one that helps stock the bird feeder that we had our scout built, and just having that extra help to do those things, it's so nice.
Do you know how many volunteers we have, Audra?
Oh, it depends. If we consider groups like the Lions that Jason's part of, that. There's groups, and then there's single volunteers, and there's at certain events there'll be one-off, just one thing. But then we have 3 volunteers right now that have a regular schedule at the Nature Center. They come every week. One comes every Friday. One comes 3 days a week, which has been a huge help right now. He's helping go through old files and might do some scanning, like anything we need. It's really nice. So we'd love to have more. And again, you can commit to one thing. You could adopt a park, you can adopt a rain garden. That's a new thing we're doing, is these rain gardens that homeowners just don't want, if there's a rain garden that needs help, you can adopt one if you want. So got a lot of opportunities, and we're trying to make it as easy as possible for people to get involved. So spread the word. And then, these are not visuals, but Carol had a few updates for me to share, and Danny already shared about the Arbor Day tree sale, but online ordering starts March 4th already to order your trees. Time flies, so they're $40 a tree for Maplewood residents, that variety of species that Danny talked about. And the trees are from 4 to 12 feet tall, and you can order up to 2. So $40 for a tree is a steal. So if you're interested, that's March 4th that opens. And then upcoming classes at the Nature Center that we do as far as environmental programming, and it helps us with our MS4 permit and just providing environmental education for the community. There's a tree and shrub care and pruning basics class on Saturday, February 3rd from 10 to noon at the Nature Center. No cost, just would like to sign up so we can prepare. And then she's starting to train. We have volunteer opportunities if you want to be like a frog monitor or a bluebird monitor. And if you're interested to sign up, once you signed up, there's Bluebird Monitor training on March 1st from 6 to 8, and that'll be at the Nature Center. And they'll train you on everything that you need to know about bluebird monitoring. So, and families can do it. You can just do it yourself. You can do it with your friends, but you collect the data for us, and it's important. And if you're not an official volunteer, you can just go to the site and get signed up, and then we'll get you trained.
Do you know, is there any limit on feeding birds in Maplewood? Someone had said something to me that you can't have certain bird feeders in Maplewood. Is that?
I'll have to check with Carol to double check. I know you want to keep your bird feeders at least 6 feet off the ground, so you're not feeding the deer.
Okay, maybe that's what it is then.
And there was, when the avian bird flew, there were some issues, but I don't think there's any issues now, except just make sure your feeders are high enough. Even though the sunflower seeds go on the ground, and the squirrels are out there every day. We have the fattest little squirrels at the Nature Center. They're so happy. Yeah, and the last thing was the buckthorn pop-up programs that Danny talked about. She did her first one, and now there's 2 more, Friday, January 26th, and Friday, February 9th. They are during the day, but if you can get away, if you want to come on out. She did a really good job. So that's all I have. Any questions for me?
Anybody want to make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned at 7:01.
Thanks.